When I was a Navy SEAL platoon commander, my number one focus was helping my platoons get prepared for over 150 different kinds of missions. We spent years preparing for these missions. So when the time finally came to get to go overseas and answer the call, I felt pretty prepared for pretty much everything, except when my commanding officer, the day before we're going to leave, calls me into his office, and he says, "Mills, don't leave me with nothing but a flag to give to your next of kin. I want your letter, and you want you to know that that could be the last piece of written communication that they'll ever have from you. So make it good." Huh, what? I'm 26 years old. I'm not thinking about dying. He's talking about writing a just-in-case letter. If I die, that goes with a flag to my mom, my dad, and my brother. What do you say? Well, I had a few false starts on that letter. And I finally cobbled something together, and I got this sentence that I started this letter with. And it went like this: "Dear Mom, Dad, and Andrew, if you're reading this letter, please don't cry, because I died doing what I loved." How cool is that? How many people get to say that? And then I go on and I tell them how grateful I was for their love, their support, their guidance. And then I tried to make amends with my brother and tell him, "Hey, I'm sorry for throwing that rock at you in third grade. That was a messy day." But I left on a positive note. I tell my brother, "I want you to go after your dreams. Don't listen to the people that say you can't. Just focus on the ones that say you can. You can do this. Go after it and give it all you got. I believe in you. I love you. Alden." I wrote 3 of those letters as my time as a platoon commander, and then I didn't think anything about them for a few years until one of my buddies, he came back on his shield. And I know that that letter was going with a flag to an 18-month-old son that wasn't going to know his father. Coincidentally, about 4 months earlier, Jennifer brings my first child into our life, Henry. And I'm looking at Henry and I'm thinking, what did my buddy say to his son? And it gets me thinking. And I'm going to start writing a letter to Henry. So I get out the pen, and just like the first round of letters, I had a whole bunch of false starts. But thankfully, Jennifer gave me 3 more reasons to write these letters with Charlie and John and William. Over 10 years, it took me to put this letter together for my 4 boys. And the whole theme of the letter was about going after their dreams, about reminding them that their life is up to them, and that these dreams are the ones that come with a dark side. They come with a side where you don't know if you can really do it. If you know you can do it and you know what it takes, that's not the dream, that's a task. I want you to go after those dreams, the ones that push you way outside the comfort zone, the ones that force you to take a risk. And then I wanted this letter to be this reference point for them. I knew that the tone wasn't going to be about comfort. It was going to be about inspiration, but giving them some tools that they could use in their darkest hours. And some of those darkest hours I included of mine in that letter. But a tool that I used a lot was the one about harnessing the forces that will help you overcome those scary days. The forces that hide in here and in here, connecting the head and the heart. You see, they'll make you or they will break you. And they speak different languages. The heart, it whispers. It says, "You can do it. Get up. Keep going. Keep The head. The head whines. The head whines at you and says, why are we doing this? How many people have really done this before? You really think you can do this? Do you know how long this is going to take? Oh, it will drive you nuts inside. Like a little baby bouncing around in there, and those demons will rip you apart before you even start. And I have seen a lot quit right as they walk up to the starting line, and I didn't want that for my boys. But if you can connect them, if you can connect these and make them a team, make them play together, then you can get some magic going. And I would use this tool. I would run these movies in my head. I would run these movies. I'd call them outcome movies. I'd fast forward them to what happens, what would it feel like when I got this dream accomplished. And it wasn't just visualizing me accomplishing it. I would feel it. And then I wouldn't just feel it. I'd put the closest, most important family members with me. My mom, my dad, my brother, my aunts, my uncles, they'd be all right there. And I'd watch them experience what I had done. And I would see that impact and how good it would make me feel. And sometimes that wasn't enough. Sometimes I'd run the opposite side. I'd run this painful movie. This painful movie where one other person would show up, sometimes a bunch of them. People that would say, I told you so. I knew you wouldn't make it. You're a loser. And then that would eat away at me, and I'd be thinking about that. I'd say, oh, my God, I'll have to listen to that for the rest of my life if I don't get through this. And one of these dreams, I put in a storyline in a letter, and it was a whole series of dark days. It was the 6th week of Navy SEAL training. Some call it the toughest week of military training in the world. It's called Hell Week in SEAL Team, and it goes from Sunday all the way to Friday. And they keep you up. In total, they'll give you about 3.5 hours of sleep from Sunday to Friday. They've got instructors around the clock. And this first night, I'm the only officer left standing there. And he's looking at me, and he's from Boston, and he's standing between me and my dream. And it goes something like this. Hey, Ensign Mills, why don't you and your classmates go get in that water? It's time for my first quitter. That's right, surf torture now. Yeah, that's good. Go sit out there, take seats. That's good. Link arms. You guys are going to sit in that water until somebody comes up here and gives me the magic words. So you sing your song, you do whatever it takes, but you ain't getting out of there until I get my quitter. Now, we had been surf tortured quite a lot before that, but it had always been in the daytime. You could look up, you could see the sun. It would warm you. So it never, even though the water was cold and it was December, the sun always seemed to keep you warm, but not tonight. There's no sun out there. You can't even see the waves crashing over your head. You're cold before you get in the water. It's raining outside. We're linking our arms. And before you know it, the hands are the first things to feel the cold. They start cramping up on you like this. And I take them and I knot them up and you kind of chicken wing them right underneath your armpits to try and feel some warmth. And as you're singing your song, she's a grand old flag, it starts to get muffled after a while because you're clamping your teeth and you're holding your tongue back because you don't want to bite your tongue because you're getting so cold, you know? And then this instructor, he's pacing back and forth, and he's got this electronic megaphone hanging out underneath his arm with this cord and a handset. And he goes, hey, Doc, you bring that ambulance right over here. That's good. Yeah, open that door up. Let him see how toasty warm it is in there. Yeah, come over here, Doc. Let's teach the boys a lesson in hypothermia. The doc walks over. The doc is not a SEAL. The doc is in the medical department. He's there because the Navy's telling him he's got to be there, right? He's got his jacket all up, and he's all bundled up. And Instructor Boston puts that handset right in front of his face, and he goes, Doc, tell him about it. Well, clinical hypothermia is a 4-degree drop in your body core temperature from 98.6 to 94. Yeah, that's great, Doc. How long they got to be in this water until they get hypothermia? The doc, he's flipping through these charts and a little pen light out, and he says, well, that would be about 15 minutes, Instructor Boston. Boys, I'm looking at my chronometer right here. Says you've been in the water for over 17 minutes. Doc, tell him what happens if we stay in longer. Doc goes, well, eventually you pass out and then you could die. Say it again, Doc. You could die. Boys, come on. You really want to die for this? You know what I got in that ambulance? I got hot cocoa. Huh? Come on. Come on. Be honest. You don't really want to be a SEAL that badly. Gets him. First quitter. Walks right out. Walks straight up to Instructor Boston. Instructor Boston doesn't let him off the hook. Petty Officer Smith, what are you doing out of the water? Puts the headset right up to him. I want some of the hot cocoa. Oh, let me hear the magic words. I quit. Oh, stand over here. Boys, you listen to me real clearly. Did I say that I got hot cocoa for quitters? You get nothing for quitting. You hear me? You think there's hot cocoa on the battlefield? There's nothing. Now what you do get is you can get out of this water. And I'll let you get out of this water just long enough for this doc to check you out. And then you're going back in. Because I want more quitters. Welcome to Hell Week, boys. That was the first 2 hours right there. I had 110 hours of that. Pounding on you, checking your resolve. I ran those videos again and again. And I made those movies so intense for me that I got to a point where all I could think about was, can I take another step? And I'd run that movie and I'd see my family and how proud they'd be, me coming back in that little town. And they'd say, my son did it. And then I'd sometimes run that movie and I would see those people that said, I knew you couldn't make it, you loser. You quitter. And that was all it took. It was enough to keep the fire in the belly going and go one more step. Now look, I get it. There are very few of us that are ever going to go through Navy SEAL training or ever kind of nuts enough to go through it. But the point of those movies is that you don't have to go through Navy SEALs to develop the movies. You see, 10 years later, I'm standing in front of 37 of my closest friends and family, trying to explain to them how I had taken $1.5 million that they had entrusted in me and then learned $1,475,000 worth of ways not to launch a product. That took 4 years of Hell Week, going over and over again. And here it is. A few investors, they come pull me aside. And they're kind of Instructor Boston, but they're more like a doctor. They're not looking at hypothermic charts anymore. They're looking at my financial health. And it ain't looking too good. They want me to survive. They're worried about me. And they say, hey, it's over. It's done. You got to go get a job. Okay? You're starting to embarrass yourself. You got not even enough money to pay the lawyers and the accountants. Well, they were right. I was in completely uncharted waters. They had run some businesses, but I hadn't. Oh, So I took the movie to another level. I walked into my boy's room in the middle of the night. Thought I'd just try it out, see how it sounds. Hey, boys, Dad filed for bankruptcy today. We're going to have to sell the house, and we're going to move. I think we're going to move pretty far away from here, and we're going to start again. I'm sorry. Oh, that kind of makes me sick just thinking about it right now. I couldn't get there. And thankfully, my business partners couldn't either. We'd link arms again, and we'd get back in that water, and we'd find enough between our heads and our hearts, because we were all connected together at this point. And we would go another day. And we could say, hey, we can do one more day. Let's just go one more day. We can figure out something. We'll do it another day. And we ended up inventing this little product. It was called the Perfect Pushup. This Perfect Pushup, 2.5 years later, we ended up getting this call from Inc. magazine. And it goes something like this. We're looking at your financial statements, and do you realize your company is the fastest growing consumer products company in the United States? How did you guys do this? And my partners and I, we just looked at each other and we're like, one day at a time. And what I learned about writing these letters to my boys, it's not how you start the letter. It's really about how you finish it, right? And the way I finished it with my boys, and I'd say to them, boys, remember, these dreams are going to put you in really scary places, and that's okay. It's okay that you don't know what you're doing. That's normal. It's normal to be scared. Go out there. Go after those dreams. You have to understand that your life is up to you. The actions that you can control, when you connect your head and the heart, it not only magically starts pushing you forward, but you'll start attracting some other people that will buy into your dream with you. And when that happens, then you're unstoppable. So go dream those big dreams. Give it all you've got. Empty the tank. So when the big man upstairs comes knocking someday, and I hope it's a long time from now, you can look at him with no regrets and say, I lived the life that I loved. I gave it all. You go be unstoppable. Thank you.